Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 2 of Would I Like This for Conan Exiles. Sorry about the last video. For some reason I was playing in 4K mode and my recording software just couldn't keep up with it. So in the action shots it was a little bit stuttery. I have since reduced back to normal HD mode and hopefully this video should be a lot better. So here we are, sitting on top of our little shack. Not sure how much we're going to get done in this episode. Just trying to give you a bit of an overview of the game, so you can decide whether you would like it. Before we get into it, I want to show you a couple of things. If you press escape, you can go into your menu, choose settings, and then choose server settings. And if you're playing single player, you can make yourself an admin. Now, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to give the impression that I'm cheating in some way, but when you're an admin, you can change a number of different aspects of the game. You can change your progression rate, for instance. You can change your combat settings, so player damage multiplier. Notice it's a multiplier. Some of them are not very intuitive, and you'll have to experiment or Google to find out the best settings, but that's essentially how much damage you do to the enemy. So turning it up means you do more damage, turning it down means you do less damage. The damage taken by the player is there, and a number of different settings which you can look for yourself. Harvesting rates, how quickly things spoil, how much you get when you, for instance, mine a piece of rock, all different settings that you can change there. A couple of ones that you might want to pay attention to. First of all, the purge. The purge is an attack of either animals or NPCs or a combination of both that you will get every now and then within the game. They come and attack your base. They do bring named thralls which you can capture, and they are very useful. So purges can be useful, but if you're just starting out on the game, you'll probably want to uncheck that so you don't have to worry about the purge. One of the other things that's quite important if you're playing... Oh, I think we're hungry. If you're playing single player, you might want to turn down the crafting time multiplier and the thrall crafting time multiplier, maybe to 0.3. Reason for that is on a server, time continues whether you're logged in or not, so things will craft normally. But in single player, it can take several days for these things to craft. And you want it fairly quickly. You don't want to have to be waiting and waiting and waiting, so turning down those multipliers is often a good idea. A point to note on that, if you've already placed the item, these attributes are saved per item. So if you've already placed, for instance, an animal training pen, it will have the settings that this was set to when you placed it. So early game, really, if you want to change those, change them early game before you place things down. Number of other settings on there, I'll let you figure out what all those are for. Meanwhile, I think we need to possibly address the hunger situation. Yeah, so we're actually thirsty, that's okay. We can press number 8, have a drink of water, and fill up with that. Okay, I did a little bit of gathering while we were out, or between the episodes. I've got us some stone. Looks like one of our meats has spoiled. Some stone and some wood. And the reason I've done that... let me just eat one of those meats before it spoils. The reason I've done that is because fairly early game you need to get on with making iron. And as you can see, we have no way of making any kind of construction at the moment, apart from boxes. So what we need to do is we need to go into our feats, and then we need to do a search, and we need to look for this blacksmith here. So the reason that's important is because without it we can't make iron from iron ore, and we're going to need iron for pretty much everything to progress at all. So we're going to unlock that one. We don't really need anything else in that line. I will unlock Skirmisher, and I will unlock the bow because at some point I will be using it. We're also going to need the armourer at some point, but maybe not just yet. The rest can come naturally as we go through the game. Now, you'll notice in the last episode I kind of avoided fighting. I just did the, the passive, try and get meat where you find it kind of method. And there's a reason for that. The game itself kind of relies on your ability to dodge. So if I dodge out of the way like that, you see I use stamina. And early game we don't have much stamina, so just one dodge takes off, 2 dodges takes off half our stamina. So early game fighting really you want to try and avoid unless you're confident that your abilities and your character can cope with it. Obviously we have no armor whatsoever at the moment, so I'm trying to avoid it for the time being. We will be getting into that soon. Now, if I remember correctly, we need, I think it's 540 stone, and then we can go into here. Oh, it's 500, there you go, and we can craft the furnace. You can see there are a few other things that have appeared. The armorer's bench, because we unlocked the armorer. You can see the amount of space that they take up if we just wait for this to craft. They're quite big, so it's fairly apparent then we are going to need a bigger base, because we're not going to get very much in this base. Now, with the base, you want to choose a location that has resources around it. Now, this location, we've got wood and we've got stone, but there's very little else of any use here. So I'm not going to convert this into a main base. This will just be an outpost. Got me started in the game, allowed me to find somewhere safe if there's a sandstorm coming through. This will not be our main base. So to find a location for a main base really requires a bit of exploration. You're going to need to be running about and having a look, finding somewhere you like. And there's a big area that you can run to do that. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a run along the beach here. And I know there is some coal that way, but there is also a collection of hyenas. And I don't really want to be messing with hyenas. You can see there is some iron there. And we will certainly be collecting that when there's not an alligator chasing us. But what we really need is to find some coal. So we're going to run over this way again. And if I remember correctly, there is a coal node along the river here. Run out of stamina. So we can see there's some more iron there. Make sure we're not being followed, and we can grab that. Okay, so journey step for mining the iron node. And I want to avoid that alligator if we can. And that one. And we don't really want to mess with these big collection of alligators here. So what I will do is I will just cut across the corner. And we get a discovery for this shattered bridge here. Now this is a long way to go for a tiny bit of coal, and this is what I was saying about choosing the location for your base. You don't really want to have to be coming all this way every time you want a bit of coal. And as you can see, there's a brown shell back there. So we'll just avoid him. Fill my water up while we're in the water. Now, this coal node does have a little camp by it. So we're going to have to be a little bit careful. These two thralls usually do split up. So you get one stay at the camp and one will come after you. Now you can just drag her back to that brown shaleback and let them fight each other. Or if you're feeling confident, wait for it to swing. And then just get in there. I usually do a left left and then a right click. That usually gets a combination of attacks in. There we go. Check to see if she's got anything on her. That's not really very useful, especially at this stage of the game, so I'm not going to bother harvesting her body or anything. And then we can go and take this one out. He doesn't seem very interested in us. Okay, the heavy finisher was just the combination of buttons I used. Okay, so that was a left, left, right, right, and that gave the heavy finisher. So we'll take the wood, save us chopping down trees. You can take the arrows, they're only bone, they're not very good arrows. And somewhere here is, there we go, it's a little loot chest. And we'll take that. The bone we can use later on, but for now we're not going to be using it. So we're going to grab this iron. Okay, and that's all there is here. And then, if I remembered correctly, when we go up this little path past the brown shaleback, we should find some coal, although of course now it's dark, it's going to be a little more tricky to see. Make sure he doesn't follow us, because they can follow you for quite some way. So I'm sorry it's so dark. Unfortunately, that's part of the game. You will end up running around in the dark quite a lot. Now, while we're here, there's something else I can show you. As you're running through the game, you will occasionally come across ghosts. And you'll see one here ahead of us in a second. When you see a ghost, there you go, you want to follow them, see where they go. See what they do. Sometimes they'll point at something, sometimes they'll just have a conversation, but it's to attract you to something that you might otherwise have missed. In this case, it's a book. So we're going to interact with the book, and that gives us a new emote, submissive, and you can read a bit of the details if you want. So that's all there is to that. And I think, can't actually see because it's so dark. Let's see if we can make a torch. We haven't got sticks. Okay, so just while it's dark, what I'm going to do is we'll run up to the top of this hill and you'll find another one of these stones here. And we need the sticks for a torch if we can find enough. The wind's getting up, we're going to be careful there's not a storm coming in. Okay, so we'll just quickly make a torch. It will be getting light soon anyway. Okay. So you can see these stones that illuminate. This one's a blue stone, the other one was a green stone. As you go through the game, if you interact with these, they tell you a little story. And you will get a journey step eventually if you manage to collect all the stones in the game. So it's a good idea. Interact with them when you see them. That's just the ghosts respawning. Okay, so we got some more iron here. So we'll collect all the iron. Don't need the torch anymore. And I thought I remembered a piece of coal over here somewhere, but can't actually see that at the moment. It's just rock. Okay, not to worry, we'll find some coal. No, just rock. So while we're here, what we can do is we can go and speak to this guy in the cave up here. This is Nunu. He is a cannibal, but don't worry about that. That's just his religion. And if we go and talk to him, there we go. Nunu the cannibal.
Stay your hand, stranger. Come, look into the pit. The Lord of Empty Abodes awaits therein. I am his shaman, Nunu. Your coming was revealed to me in the whispering of a bat's wings.
Okay, well, yeah, fair enough. So we can learn an emote here to cheer. We'll do that, and we can also learn the Acolyte of Yog, which is another religion. So remember when we started the game we had to choose a religion? Well, within the game, as you see, we can also learn the other religions. So that's all there is there. Just go and talk to him. This dry wood here is quite important. You may be wanting some of this as you go through the game. Pickaxe gives you bark and dry wood, and an axe gives you sticks and dry wood. And the dry wood you will need later on for making insulated wooden building pieces, which you'll need if you're going up north. Okay, so we're going to head back this way. Make sure we don't run out of stamina down here. So you can see we have got very little grit, but we've got 17 points, so I can increase my stamina like that. Encumbrance hasn't really been a problem for me at the moment, so what I'm going to do is increase my agility, put a few points into that. And then we've got 2 points left, so you can put them in encumbrance if you want. You can increase your health bar if you want. What I'm going to do at this moment in time is increase my strength. So that means that my melee attacks will have a little bit more power behind them. That should make fighting a little bit easier. Okay, so on our way back, we're going to keep our eye open for some more iron. If you remember, we did pass a few little pieces. And also pick up some more aloe. And we've got to be careful of those brown shellbacks, and obviously when we get further along we need to be a little bit careful of that boss crocodile. So you'll get to learn the map pretty quickly. You'll be running backwards and forwards, covering the same place several times, and it doesn't take long to learn it. Okay, so here we are back at base. In case you wonder, by the way, why I keep crouching, and I don't mean to, it's because I've got crouch on the C key, and putting my weapons away is on the X key. And obviously if you hit the wrong key, then you end up just crouching all the time, which is not good. Okay, so we have 1 iron ore in here. I'm going to put the rest of this stuff away for now. Don't need any of that. we put the iron ore in here, and we need something to burn. Now for the time being, I think what I'll do is I'll just burn wood. We do have some dry wood, but we have plenty of wood and it's easy to get. So we'll just take a little bit of wood out and we'll stick that in there. Tell it to burn the wood, and we can kick that off, and that will start smelting down. As you can see, smelts down the iron ore into iron bars, and obviously we're going to need a number of iron bars. We don't have any, and that's kind of necessary for other stuff. For example, the blacksmith's bench requires 50 iron bars, so we'll just keep that churning away. It will run out of wood, which is why I wanted some coal, and we can get coal definitely by running up this direction. Now we are going to be running out of food and water, so I'm going to eat the food I've got and drink some water, and then I can refill that. And then we should be set. There are little lumps of coal lying around down here. As I mentioned, there are some over that way, but unfortunately we have got hyenas over there, kind of right next to the coal, and I don't really want to mess with hyenas at the moment, so we can just run over here. We'll ignore the alligator. It's a bit of a trek, so what I'm going to do is just run straight up this valley, and I'll bring you back when I get to the top. Okay, here we are at the top of the valley. We've just run all the way up there. You can see there's more iron here. I'm not going to collect that just now, because behind here you see there are rock noses, and they can hurt quite a lot. Over there we have hyenas, but there is quite a lot of coal just across the way. We need to be careful in here of these birds. They only peck you, but they can hurt, so we want to try not to aggravate those birds. See more iron along there. Now this place ahead of us is called the summoning place, and there's a lot of NPCs in there. You want to be a little bit careful going into there. You need to make sure you're prepared. The whole screen goes really dark when you get inside, and you can see there are a couple of lumps of coal down there and an NPC walking around. But if we're careful, we should be able to grab a couple of these. Now my pickaxe is about to die, so before I do anything I'm going to grab some stone. And you'll see why. Well, actually I can do it now. If we click on it, you can see we have here repair, and that will repair using the stone. Wait for that. Okay. Now, just need to make sure we're not going to get in his range. There is another lump of coal further up, but I think he's, as he keeps walking, no, he's coming back again, so I don't want to annoy him. We could fight him if it's just the one, we could probably be okay, but we don't need to. There is more coal here. Oops. Okay, so we have nearly 200 coal. That'll keep us going for a while. There is more coal lying around, some up there by the rock noses, and there's plenty around the little plateau here, but that'll keep us going for now. And rather than getting into a fight, just going to run back the way we came. So I would like to grab that iron as well. but as you can see, the rock noses aggro very easily, and I don't really want to get into a fight with those. And we're just going to run away. This is quite a nice place to build a base on this plateau here, but obviously there's no water. So later on in the game, when you can build a well, you can build a base there. That's quite successful. But early game, you need to be somewhere close to some water. Okay, he should have given up by now. He'll wander back to his spawn point. These deer are a good source of meat, but they're quite hard to kill, because the first time you hit them, they'll run away. Oh, there you go. You manage to get a combination in, then you can hit them. Oops. Kill them on the first go, but more often than not, the first time you hit them, they will just run away, and then you'll be left with no meat. So I'm not going to keep the horn for now, because storage space, and really it would have been better to have used a meat cleaver. I don't think we can craft one at the moment. No, we're going to need some sticks. There's a little baby one. Let's see if we got enough. We have. The aloe back in that pile. And put the torch, actually we don't need it, to put it over there for now. So what I'm going to do with the meat cleaver is I'm going to see if I can get this one. You see we got 3 meat off the other one. Okay, so with a meat cleaver, he bounces away as well. So we got 6 meat with the meat cleaver. The meat cleaver is definitely better if it's food that you're after. In this particular case, it's probably going to go off before I manage to eat it anyway. So skinning the animals gives you the hide that you're going to need. And a little bit of meat. But if you get short on meat, then certainly meat cleaver is the way to go. Okay, so back to our little shack. We can now rescue our wood. You can see the fire went out, it stopped crafting once it had done all the iron ore. So we can now put our coal in there, and we can either tell it to burn coal directly and lose that little bit of wood, or you could just smelt a bit more and then change it over. I'm going to change it over anyway because there's only a little bit left. So that'll tell it now to burn coal, so even if we keep wood in there, when we burn it, it doesn't burn the wood, it'll burn the coal. So that's kind of useful to know. Okay, so we want to cook our meat up. And we'll put these things away in the chest. I've got another horn, so I'm not going to clutter up my precious inventory space with horns and fangs and things. We will use them later in the game. You use them for making, the horns for instance, for making armor, horned helmets, but at the moment we're nowhere near that stage. So that's pretty much another day done. We still haven't done much fighting, and as you can see we're making quite good progress through the game. Fighting is something that you can develop gradually. Ideally you want to make sure that you have some decent armor on to be able to cope with the fight, and learn to dodge and duck and weave on simpler animals, perhaps shalebacks, that kind of thing. You know, definitely do not go taking out these big things. That's a bit later on. That's when you learn like which buttons to press in a panic, and certainly things like that. Level 60 really is something you're going to need to be working towards. So we're going to have to expand this base a little bit. We can go back that way. You can't move items in Conan, but you can destroy them and get some resources back. And obviously it's just a case of building more foundations and then walling it in, putting ceiling, maybe putting it upstairs, and you know, the usual stuff. So you can build some quite elaborate places, and I've seen some castles and all sorts using various building means. Now just very briefly I will mention the difference between mods and DLCs. So you can see here under construction, or actually cornerstones, if I go to construction is probably a better way of seeing it, you can see I've got some mods loaded that give me some extra items, and you can see these ones with the green tab on the top. These are all DLC items, and as I don't have the DLCs I can't use those items, but don't really need them because they only are aesthetical. They don't perform any particular function. If we look at the armors, for instance, there are a number of armors that I don't have access to because I don't have the DLCs. But you only need them if you particularly want the look, the aesthetics of those armors. And if I scroll down, you can see an item down at the bottom here, which is Grim Productions. Grim Productions is a mod, and that in itself, when I unlock it, allows me access to all of those different clothing options and armors and various things. And likewise the Cobbler is also a mod which you can unlock to make high heel shoes should you want to. So there are options there. You don't have to go out and buy every single DLC that comes out. Just take a look at it, and if you think it's something you want, then obviously you can get it, but I haven't. So there we go, very quick ramble through showing you the furnace and making iron, and the game pretty much continues like this. There is one other aspect to the game, which is the dungeons, and obviously as you progress through the game you might want to take on dungeons to get more specialist materials. You might want to take on some caves and collect silk and things to make your armors. I'll try and show you one of the dungeons in the next one, but that kind of gives you an overview of what Conan Exiles is all about. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. Little quick ramble through the coal mining aspect, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.